This is King L Bay, and I'm going to do Ghosting the System Part 4, I believe. And so, we're going to talk about Ghosting the System and Attorney in Fact and Attorney at Law. And we're going to look at this and determine what's what. Now, if you understand this, then you will have a better approach of understanding the difference between the attorney at fact and attorney at law. Especially when you're dealing with contracts. Contracts make the law. So once you understand how to ghost the system and you set your contracts up and you becoming a power of attorney, attorney in fact, you got to understand that contract make the law. Now, when these other laws come into play, as an attorney, what an attorney at law is supposed to do, he defends the law based upon on the public side of the fence. But you don't want those public laws to even come into play. You want to force your hand where you, as the attorney of fact, use the contract in which the law should be adjudicated under, in which you understand how to contract. Yes again, we talking about contracts. I don't care what nobody tell you about them UCCs. If you do not know how to contract, it ain't gonna make no difference. Because most of y'all don't know how to defend yourself in court. That's why you arguing about all these different things. People telling you don't use an attorney, use an attorney, but you don't even know your position. If contract make the law, you stand on the contract in which you are the attorney of fact. Your facts is going to override any law because the author of the document, who is the sovereign, gave you authority over the instrumentality or the intellectual property in which he owned all the rights to. And now how it's being used in the public is going to be determined by how well you contract. And if you don't know how to contract, it don't make a good bit of difference. Y'all following a whole lot of people that's got you doing all these documents, filling out all these forms, and you don't even know what all this stuff means because you don't know how to contract. So the attorney at law versus the attorney at fact, you got to understand what the word author. Let's break down the word author. Let me show you what how author is according to copyright and intellectual property. Author, copyright, the person who creates and expresses work. Ain't that what the name is? Or the person or business that hires another to create an expressive work. Okay, ain't that what the name is? In copyright law, author applies to the broad range of occupation, including writers, artists, programmers, choreographers, and translators. Copyright and intellectual property ain't the name. Intellectual property that's been copywritten. One from whom a right or title derives in some way other than by this descent. Do you get what I'm saying? Now let's look at authority. Let me give you because it's a lot of definitions on authority. I'm just going to give you I'm gonna go give you some of these terms. I'm not gonna give you all of it. It says authority, the right or permission to act legally on another behalf, the power of one person to affect another legal relationship by acts done in accordance with the other's manifestation of assent, the power to delegate by a principal to an agent. You are the sovereign, so you are the principal. The attorney, in fact, is your agent acting on your behalf to ensure that the rights that's under the contract stay intact and not be deviated from. So when you talk about an attorney in fact versus an attorney in law, you got to understand you don't want the law to override your rights, because the fact is, if the truth is always going to overcome any law. We stand on the pillars of love, peace, freedom, truth, and justice. Understand this information. So if contract make the law, then what is the law that you're using? The contract. Then other laws surrounding how the entity or the public person is being used in the matter, the attorney will take care of that end of it. So if they don't have personam jurisdiction over the instrumentality, there is nothing they can adjudicate. They have no standing. The strong man, if he's operating within his trusted powers in accordance to what it was doing, then the only thing that can be done about that, they can regulate the strong man in which the attorney represent, or the entity in which the attorney is going to represent. We're going to go to, let me see, express authority. I think apparent authority. Let me see. We ain't gonna go implied. I think I'm saying presumption, authority, uh, express authority, authority given to an agent by explicit agreement, either orally or in writing. Understand this, man. If you talk about contract making the law, you gotta know how to stand on your square when you're going into their courtroom. You gotta understand. See, this is what they try to trick you with. And let me break this down for y'all. And I did in video part 3 how they're utilizing your intellectual property to make money, but attaching their trust instrument to your intellectual property without disclosing any information on how that property is going to be used. That's theft. That's piercing the corporate veil right there, because you have a right to take back your property and use it in such a manner where it is aligned under which the sovereign has ordered it to be according to the jurisdiction of its authority. And if you're using the Quran, then you're going to challenge the authority, because everything that they're doing is based upon what? Christian principles. This information get deep. A lot of people ain't breaking this down to y'all. So when you go in there and you dealing with these jurisdictional issues, you stand on your contract. But if you don't have no contracts and you don't know how to contract, the UCCs ain't gonna save you. Because the UCCs do two things, like I said. It give notice, and then it assign who has the jurisdiction over the property, who is utilizing the property. You got to understand what the UCC 1 and the UCC 3 does. Follow before you using your UCC 11 to show there is not any liens on there. You got to understand how to secure your property and file it within the right, so that you can then use your UCCs to show the right of usage and the liens associated with it, and the authority in which you got to understand how to commercially use your capacity, protect your intellectual property or your property rights. Anything that comes or you create out of your authority as the sovereign, in which you put out into the public, if you don't protect it, then other things can be attached to that, in which it becomes their property. And you no longer the sovereign, they are, because they already got a set of rules that govern how their trust supposed to operate. Y'all don't understand property law. If you understand how to protect private property that goes out into the public by understanding the contracts, and within, they already got so many videos on so many different stuff. Don't nobody want to hear the truth. Y'all want to spend y'all money and live in a fantasy. Y'all only want to listen to the things that sound good. Because in this movement, I see it's just a lot of Moors I be trying to build with. I got all types of people doing all types of things. When it comes to understanding public and private, they can contract. But what's private is private and what's public is public. And when you are the sovereign and you have the rights over their property, then you have the right to have the authority in which they got to use the contract to adjudicate it under. No statute can override your contract. Now the attorney in fact can make argument because he has a what they call he's a party in interest to protect the rights of the property as he can be deemed the trust protector of the property. Y'all don't really want to hear that. Let me see. Let me let me bust y'all heads with this information. Now, what is an attorney in fact versus attorney at law? Attorney in fact is a agent who is authorized. Here we go with that word authorized. Look at the word right here, author. The author is the sovereign. When we talk about religion under your deemed under natural law, we're talking about who is the author of your life. The Most High is the author. He gave you that name, so he's supposed to. You're supposed to abide by the Quran, the Circle 7 Quran, and act according to those things. And those shall be your trust indenture in which you take into court and operate under that and under your positive law through your contracts. And you have to align it according to the scriptures. Ain't nobody dropping this on y'all. So let's look at the attorney in fact versus the attorney at law. The attorney at law, he's going to argue on the public side of the fence. The attorney in fact is going to stay on the private side of the fence. You don't mix public and private. So if you're the attorney in fact, you present the contracts, stand on the contracts, show them that they ain't got jurisdiction over the property. They can have jurisdiction over the illegas or the LLC, but they don't got jurisdiction over the property in which the property is the matter at hand, not the illegas. Because everything is dealing with property rights. Do you understand? dealing with the de facto versus the de jure. Understanding if they're using your name and they're ruining your reputation according to your name, you have remedy to sue. In accordance to their laws and bring it in a public forum and sue under that jurisdiction. But if you want to keep it private, then you sue them under in a private arbitration using the Quran or other contracts in which you can verify that you got authority over. You got to learn how to contract where you understand that you can hire a court or a judge or arbitration, because it's all that stuff is that they doing in them public courtrooms or administrative. You can do the same thing. You can hire a court or a judge to arbitrate your stuff in accordance to the statute where it stay private. Y'all don't understand how to contract. That's why you having problems. So attorney at law deal with the public, the attorney in fact deal with the private. Y'all don't understand that. It's easy and clear. When you understand what you really need to do and you dealing with an organization that know how to operate, you can stand in your square. And this is where this come in. This is what they have to use. They have to use the government compelling interest. The government interest is a concept in law that allows the government to regulate a given matter. For instance, there has been held that the compelling government interest is restricting access to unapproved prescription drugs, protecting residential privacy has been recognized as a significant government interest by the U.S. So you got to understand status. What's your status? Your status is going to determine the jurisdiction in which going to be ran in that courtroom. That's why they asking you what is your status. And y'all talking about arguing nationality, and you don't even know how to correct your tax status. You don't understand your status in accordance to a contract. You don't understand your status as you calling yourself a resident. You don't even understand your status as it comes to having a driver's license. So that's what we're talking about when we're dealing with that status. You can be a private person and have more power than a person who talking about they got their nationality, because a lot of people don't even know how to invoke a lot of that stuff that they talking about as being a Moor. Because they haven't done everything to make sure that they put it all together. Y'all need to go watch the brother Oshamba, what's his name? Oshamba L. He break a lot of that stuff down to show y'all how to get some remedy. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Yusuf L, man. Yusuf L did a lot of good work in this community. I'm gonna show the brother love. He has done a lot of good work. Thanks to Yusuf L, he even brought me up to speed on some stuff. I ain't gonna lie, the brother he's very competent in this public and this private thing. But I got to give it up to the brother Oshamba L. He is breaking it down. He's going deep. Y'all got to go check out these brothers. But we over here, we dropping some jewels. I'm trying to link up with brothers. Brothers act like they don't want to link up. The thing that we bring to the table is I'm breaking this down, showing you how to move in the courtroom. I've been litigating for a long time, actually litigating. I'm not no pretender. So let's go here and drop this information on y'all. Now, they got two type of scrutinies. Now, you wanna keep the court here under a strict scrutiny test. Now they got different degrees of the strict scrutiny standards. So you want to make sure they use this. Now I want to come here because y'all can go and read the rest on your own. I'm gonna read here. It say a standard of. I'm gonna start here. A standard of judicial for review for a challenge policy in which the court presumes the policy to be invalid unless the government could demonstrate a compelling interest to justify the policy. All they saying right here is, look, we got to see if do any of this apply to what they doing, because of how they using this information and how this property is being used. You see what I'm saying? Where they generating their income from. You see what I'm saying? They want to look at that to determine, okay, how you utilizing your property. Did you protect your rights according to the jurisdiction? Is people coming into your jurisdiction doing business, or you going outside of your jurisdiction into their jurisdiction to do business? That's why I say you guys better learn how to contract. UCCs ain't gonna save you if you don't know how to contract. Strict scrutiny is the most rigorous form of judicial review. The Supreme Court has identified the right to vote, the right to travel, and the right to privacy as a fundamental rights worthy of protecting by strict scrutiny. In addition, laws and policies that discriminate, on the basis of race or categorized as suspect classifications that are presumptively impermissible and subject to strict scrutiny. So you got to understand, when you're dealing with this stuff, when you're dealing with this private, if you have a private matter, stay private. Keep it private. Public and private don't mix, if you understand what I'm saying. You got to understand what's going on. See, they didn't trick everybody. See, it's like this. Let me just say this. I keep trying to tell you. All these doctors. Okay, look. You protected your name, which is your intellectual property. Okay. Now you go sign up, put that your name on the social security number, right? Under the social security number, it says social, and it's a security. It's a security. So it's a security is a form of a bond in which the social security number is a form of bondage. Now, let's look at this. If you attach that under a presumption that your religious rights got to be intact. So what do when you sign that shit onto that social security number? You must, if you got a contract, you must give them notice and tell them it must be in compliance with the Quran. And you must give them notice and show everything in accordance. And if not, it cannot be. You must rescind the information because it goes against your religious practice. I just did a video on religious rights. Um, is We was looking at it, and it falls under the strict scrutiny test of protections of property. It's in one of my videos, and your religious rights is superior if you know how to protect that by making sure you conform with due process of law. What is the elements of securing the property, having perfecting the property interest? What? First one is notice. Second one is lien. What's the third one? Claim. You got to make sure you perfect your security interest in your property. Once it's perfected and you did all those things, then you can secure your rights and you can stand on your rights within the courtroom under the strict scrutiny test, where you is the attorney of fact and the agent of the author of the sovereign, in which the instrumentality to intellectual property, which you have full personal jurisdiction over, and they do not. And then that they've been utilizing that name in variations to make money, in which you can go improve by doing some investigative homework. And you have the, if you do it right, you have the power to rescind every and any contract that goes against the Quran and all your religious beliefs, or the belief, or your moral beliefs. If it go against your moral code as a man or woman, but you better know how to contract. But that's the bottom line to it. We dropping this information because it's hot off the press. The attorney in fact versus the attorney at law. Come on, let me hit y'all with this. So, what is the difference? The difference, an attorney in fact is an agent who is authorized to act on the behalf of another person, but isn't necessarily authorized to practice law. An attorney at law is a lawyer who has been legally qualified to prosecute and defend actions before a court of law. Understand this, it's a court of law. It's not a court of fact. And if they don't have the rights to adjudicate you due to the fact that the contract make the law, and you under that jurisdiction in which under that Quran, and you knew how to contract to protect all your rights, they don't have personam jurisdiction. But you got to know how to contract. What is an attorney at law? An attorney at law is permitted to represent another individual in the practice of law, but isn't allowed to make decisions on their behalf. Once again, the attorney in fact, he can make decisions on the behalf. Attorney at law can't. This includes any decision making, such whether or not to settle. The term originated in England, where the lawyers who were authorized to practice law in the common law courts were referred to as attorney at law. So I'm just breaking this up for y'all so y'all can get it. What is the attorney in fact? The attorney in fact is an agent who is authorized to act on the behalf of another, but is it not necessarily authorized to practice law. Their responsibility and power depends on what's specifically stated in the power of attorney document. Do they got a general power of attorney or special power of attorney? You can read the rest of this. I'm just giving y'all where y'all can read it. The power of attorney, the powers and duties of the power of attorney in fact. If designated as a general power of attorney, an attorney in fact can conduct any spending or investment actions that the principal would normally make. Therefore, the duties of an attorney in fact may include withdrawing funds, opening, closing bank account, trading stock, paying bills, or cashing checks. And the way we showing you how to do it with ghosts in the system, we show you how to break it all down. Gotta know what you're doing. Gotta know what you're doing. So let's look at this liberal construction, because this is what the government would try to do. A liberal construction definition, or liberally construed, a form of construction which allows a judge to consider other factors when deciding the meaning of a phrase or document. See, when you don't protect your rights according to your contracts, this is what they do, and this is how they pull the wool over your eyes. This is how a lot of y'all go to jail. Because that money that you chasing, that's intellectual property. That's somebody else's property. You understand? But money can be used in the public and in the private. Or them Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve notes, them FRNs. I'm breaking this down so y'all can understand this stuff, man. I'm making this simple. I ain't gonna make this hard. I'm trying to make these videos short. I ain't trying to make these videos real long because a lot of people don't watch when you have these real long videos. You have to understand what's going on, man. This information, when you understand what I'm teaching about ghosting the system and learning how to protect your rights through contracts and then making it evidence through different types of forms of bonds and then putting it into the UCCs, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. That's how you get your private banking going. You feel me? But you got to know how to contract. Because the contract is not going, the bond ain't going to have everything in it. You want everything in the contract. You just want to do enough to have in the bond where it's evidence of an indebtedness in which you can show where you are owed what you owe. And that the bond is just evidence that can be used as evidence. And then if you have to bring in the contract to stipulate it, you come into court, you have the court seal that under a trade secrets, and you move to court where no other attorney or any other person other between y'all can look at the contract. You can shut this court down where it's private. Now your records are sealed. Understanding this is checkers. Understand we playing chess. This ain't checkers. I'm dropping fire for y'all. I got videos that's breaking this stuff down. Just giving y'all some of this information, man. So while y'all going through all of this stuff, you got to understand what's going on when you're dealing with this stuff in trust law. You got to understand how to perfect and securitize your public property by putting it into the public and making sure your rights are secured. Understanding what to do with that. This is King L. Bay signing out on the new phrase, Ghost in the System. And understand I don't use that term status correction because that's too broad. We using asset protections. We protecting assets, property rights. Because you got to remember, you, your children, your name, everything that comes about land, houses, whatever, your books, all of that is property. And you got to learn how to protect everything in our society is dealing with property rights. And you got to know how to contract so you can protect those properties through contracts, and then understanding that you can write bonds to associate that with evidence of a contract existing between the two parties, in which now can be considered as evidence. And if you're going to use the contract could then be deemed as confidential information that cannot be viewed by the public, in which you can now ask the court to seal the records due to the evidence that you had to produce and to show, and that you had to use to put things in balance by having the court use the strict scrutiny test to understand how to deal with the court, with your private property. So we moving on another level. Like I said, thanks to my brother Yusuf El. I'm gonna show him some love because he have done a lot for this movement. I've been doing this, it's going on 12 years. Thanks to a brother Oshamba L. I was looking up some of his material. I'm showing the brother some love. You see what I'm saying? I don't knock no brothers out there in the movement. I don't knock or criticize. I just don't like when brothers take your information and steal it and try to sell it, or act like your information is their information. They don't even want to give you credit. I'm going to always give credit and show some love. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here trying to hate on any Moors trying to move. There's a lot of Moors that's trying to move. And even though they might not know what they're doing, I'm going to apply their efforts, because at the end of the day, you got to get into the fight to have a fight. So a lot of y'all who stand on a sideline criticizing Moors who have made mistakes, I'm going to uplift those Moors up. Like I said, everybody can reach out to King L Bay, and y'all can get to getting this stuff this information. So you could go to this, go to our website, give me a call, go to the Facebook, give me a call, drop this information. I'm dropping it. Give us a call. I'm gonna be putting more information out. Give me a call. I'm dropping this science. Give me a call and hit me up. I'm gonna break this information down for y'all. But I'm giving free consultations for those who get the book. People get mad. I done had a few somebody try to act like I didn't, I don't know what I'm talking about, because they don't want to study. I give people a lot of free keys and a lot of good information. Um, Let me show y'all something, man. Look, go get this book, man. Like stuff that I be telling people, they ain't heard this stuff before. You ain't getting this information from everybody. There's a lot of people that know the truth and ain't gonna give it to you. So I'm just dropping this information. Like I said, go get the book. Go get this book. You can get a free consultation. I talk about this, the birth certificate. Like most of y'all don't even, this is what's so crazy, even with the child support. Most of y'all don't like the other birth certificate. It's two birth certificates. None of y'all even use that other birth certificate as evidence and subpoena them asking what that is. A lot of y'all don't like I got challenging DNA tests, usury, discrimination charges, claim the child. I talk about a lot of stuff through contracts. This is why y'all getting beat up, because if you know how to contract, you're supposed to have a contract prior to the contract, before that stuff going to the public, and already have it secure. So any intellectual property, like the name on the birth certificate, all that stuff got to be secured through an already contract that you can show prior to that. So this is King L Bay. I'm out. Go get this book, man. Call me, get a free consultation when you get this book. You having child support issues. I'm gonna break this down. I told you everything is about contract. Everything is about getting this information together right. Peace and love to everybody who support me. Peace and love to everybody, all the Moors in the movement. Peace and love to everybody who's dropping knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Informing everybody of the truth. Put the book out, putting the book out there. Let's drop it. Let's keep going and let's keep moving. And let's keep dropping this information. Make this information hot for the public so we could get, better situated. I am going to also, I'm going to put out a new version, a better version. I'm probably might put out a second book, but that's going to be it. I'm going to polish up this book and put some more information, another book. I'll probably put a couple of more topics out, but we finna start going private, baby, in a minute. And then you might have to. I'm still put some materials, but it's gonna be different materials, and that's gonna be out there. And y'all see what we doing. We got some new stuff that we gonna be dropping, but a lot of people don't know what really some of the stuff that we want to do. And I'm gonna show you how to protect your stuff when it comes out to the private. So you got to understand definitely how to contract. So this is King L Bay. I'm out. Give everybody peace and love. I'm out.